Wendy Walsh, let me get my microphone. Can you hear me okay? Did I plug it in? Oh, yes, I did. It's always wonderful to see you for my short little live stream on Wednesday nights. Let me put my banner up here over on. I do this for a few minutes every Wednesday before I head over to my exclusive Zoom room on Patreon. And if you haven't come to visit me on Patreon, you so should. It's always nice to know where you're watching from. So please post a comment telling me what part of the world you're in. It's so interesting to see people literally from all over the planet. Australia, so it's tomorrow for you. Hi, how are you? It's evening somewhere else. Oh, good, I'm glad you can hear me. Yay, you're starting your first semester as a clinical psychology student. Wonderful, wonderful. You're going to start to diagnose all your friends. That's what happens. The first semester, it's like how a medical student sees disease and all, they become a hypochondriac. And the same way, I think psych students start to diagnose everybody. Hi, Spain. Wow, beautiful. Hello, Atlanta, Myrtle Beach, Perth, Australia. Hello. Oh, good, you're here. Mama Jack in Los Angeles. So am I. Let me open the comments over here on StreamYard too to see where everybody's watching from. Oh, hi, Dee from Toronto, watching on YouTube. Nice. I'm from Toronto. See, there's no last T for me. Toronto, right? Yes, I did get a new set of glasses actually this week. Thank you for the compliment on my glasses. I have quite a wardrobe of glasses. I should show you guys sometime all the glasses I have since I have to wear them. Oh, from Tunisia. Hello. Maine. Melbourne. Hello. Alabama, but traveling in Massachusetts. Wonderful. Where in Canada? I'm a Canuck too. Half my life in California, half my life in Canada. What a perfect life, huh? I mean, I spent half my life. Hey, there's Andrew. Hi, Andrew. How are you? Good to see you. So this is, I do a few minutes every Wednesday where you can ask me anything. I've been studying the science of love for the last 30 years. I've written 3 books on relationships. My name is Dr. Wendy Walsh. I have a PhD in clinical psychology, and I'm a psychology professor at California State University, Channel Islands. I hope some of my students are watching. You have a homework assignment due tomorrow, many of you, I hope. Remember, we're meeting in the library for our library classes tomorrow. Anyway, so if you do have questions, this would be the place to post them. And then I get off my live stream here, and then I head over to my Patreon Zoom room, which is another great place. You should join me there, patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. And we have great Zoom rooms. Okay, so where's questions? Should you stay with an emotionally cheating husband? Okay, so I assume by emotionally cheating, what you mean is a husband who's has a close friend at the office or is DMing other women and betraying you emotionally, sharing private things, emotionally connected with them, but still married to you, right? Well, it's a messenger. It's a way for you to bring it up, talk about therapy, decide what your boundary is going to be, right? So a boundary is not about trying to get somebody to behave in a certain way. A boundary is figuring out what behavior you can tolerate and what repercussion, what your behavior is going to be in reaction to that behavior. So let's see. You could say, unless you stop these relationships, or we need to go to therapy so we can talk about it, or involve me in these relationships, right? The 3 of us should be able to get together if you're getting together with some other woman. You've got to make the decision about what your reaction and what your behavior is going to be. But gentlemen out there listening, an emotional affair to a woman feels like a sexual affair to you guys, right? Because men, there's lots of research to support this. Men more often fear a physical affair. Women more often fear an emotional affair. Should you break up with your boyfriend if your friends don't like him? Yes. No, I want to say this. First, you want to analyze your friends. Are they good long-term friends who care about you and your happiness? Or are they new fun fly-by-night friends who want you out in their single life again to party with? Think of their motivations. If their real motivation are to keep you safe and happy, then I would pay attention. See, here's the thing about love. Love has a cocktail of neurohormones that hit our brain, and it takes away some of our rational thinking, especially in the beginning. Other people can see stuff that we can't because we're in the la-la land of love. So anyway, I would say listen to your friends, find out really what if they do support you and what they're basing their stuff is. Um, D has an interesting question. It also doesn't help that, oh, do you have any tips for releasing guilt? I want to find a good provider husband and be a good partner and mother in return, but I struggle to not feel guilty when receiving anything from others. This is a really good question, D. I want to put it up on the screen and answer it. So I've been like you, right? I've been financially independent to a fault. Never really lived off a man. Well, there were a few years in my 20s, but it was, yeah. So I always felt guilty if other people paid. And I ended up doing the bulk of everything, the childcare, the house cleaning, everything. And I was having lunch a few years ago with some particularly wealthy friends of mine and who married well, did not work. And I said to them, do you ever feel guilty that they're spending all this money on you? And they said, no, they're paying for my company and my company has value. I was like, wow. D also adds, it doesn't help that lots of guys call women gold diggers when they want to be provided for. Every single woman on the planet is a gold digger. Look, if you were presented with two identical twins that were both single men and one was wealthy and one wasn't, there's no question of which one that you would go with. Because in our anthropological past, and indeed today, during the vulnerable years of pregnancy, nursing, and raising small children, women can't, collect resources from the environment as easily. Right? So in our hunter-gatherer past, that meant they couldn't carry a bunch of kids and drag them around the jungle while they're hunting and gathering. We needed a guy to do that for us. And in modern times, it means we can't go to work if we're taking care of kids and breastfeeding and nursing. So, and it takes a hit during those time of our life where we have great earning potential. So every woman should be a gold digger in the sense that it is natural. It is in our wiring, in our anthropological past. Okay. How's it going? It's going great. Okay. I don't know. What else question do you have? I want to get one or two more questions and then I want to go over to my Patreon Zoom room. If you're just joining, I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh. I'm known as America's relationship expert. I've been studying the science of love for 30 years. I've written 3 books on relationships. I am not a therapist. I do not have a clinical practice. I just know the research on the science of love. And I myself have recovered from my own attachment injuries. And I'm in a secure relationship now. And I love to share with people stories about how I recovered and how things changed for me. So if you do have any questions about relationships, check my above question piece. I think I have to go back. Okay, so I want to answer this question. My best friend and I got into an argument. She said something really offensive that hurt my feelings and wants to talk it out and fix it, but I don't think I can get over it. It means that you are ready to end the friendship, that there was enough other stuff that built up. That happened to me recently with friendship. It was just like, you know what? It's a lifetime of little dings. I'm going to use this straw that broke the camel's back because this relationship is one that I don't want. Now, if it was only about the thing, then you deserve to respect them. I mean, I think you should respect them and go talk it out. Even if you have a third party there, a mediator to help you guys, I think it would be a good idea. But if it's been like a whole bunch of stuff and then you're like, I'm ready to let it go, then you could use that as an excuse to let it go. Oh, this is a good question from Alfred. How long should a person wait to date after the death of a spouse? There's no rule on that. I know people that when their spouse was, struggling with a chronic illness, got a friend. What is a relationship? A relationship is an exchange of care. I've heard people say, you shouldn't look for a relationship just because you're lonely. What? Like, that's the number one reason to get a relationship when you're feeling lonely. There's no rule. I don't care if the person has been dead a week. If you're sad and you want comfort and closeness of another human, we are wired to bond. There's no rule that says that you have to suffer. And I would say this, that your spouse wouldn't want you to suffer any longer. Is it true that you shouldn't date someone with kids under the age of 6? Well, I'm never like shoulds or shouldn'ts. I would say that if you do date somebody with kids under the age of 6, that you keep the kids out of your romantic relationship as long as possible, because a revolving door of parental figures is the worst thing for kids. And secondly, you better be prepared to be a parent, a step parent, because that's what's going to happen. And also, you better be prepared for the fact that that parent who has kids under the age of 6 is going to have to put them first. In fact, if they're a good person, the kind of person who would be a great mate for you, they should put their kids first. That's a good litmus test. If they're canceling on their kids for you, I don't know if I'd want to be with that person. Hello from Thailand. I'll put that up there too because it's pretty. Hello from Thailand. Let's see what else we got. Can you still be friends when you both realize you have a strong spiritual connection? He loves his girlfriend, but doesn't have that with her. It's actually that's a kind of cheating too. Thank you on the glasses. I don't know why it's not scrolling anymore. But isn't the foundation of that relationship not the best because the person's still grieving their spouse? You never know. You never know. They might, I have a wonderful story. Someone I met, his wife had passed away after a long chronic illness, and he invited my friend over for dinner, and it was business, and there was dinner involved, and it was about hiring someone and blah blah blah. Anyway, he ended up marrying my friend, and I just think whenever you feel lonely is the time. I mean, yes, nobody's going to replace your spouse. It will be different. But if you've been, and men in particular, get into new relationships very quickly after the death or divorce because they're not used to being alone, right? And this whole thing, like, you have to be alone. You have to be independent. Sometimes I say, people who say, I'm just like practicing some self-care and I'm taking care of myself, so I'm not going to date for a year or something. I tried that once. You know what that is? That's avoiding, because we learn through our relationships. That's how we do it. Okay, any more questions before I go? If a man is wanting a 50-50 relationship, does that mean the man isn't that attracted? Do you mean 50-50 paying for everything financially? It depends who makes what kind of money. If you make way more than him, I think it's fair. I mean, these are the conversations to have, right? To build emotional intimacy, to actually say, how much do you make? How much do I make? Whatever. But if he's just has this blanket thing that all relationships must be 50-50, you got to understand, sex is a much higher risk hobby for a woman than it is a man, right? Women are more likely, because of our unique biology, to contract an STI. We're more likely to fall in love because our bodies emit so much oxytocin during sex. We're also more likely to catch an 18-year case of parenthood. And when we do, that's very expensive. One of the reasons why men pay, especially at the very beginning of dating, is to show you that they're a good mate and that they will care for you. Financial care is a kind of care. I remind you, every relationship is an exchange of care, and the care can take many, many forms. It can be financial care, it can be emotional support care, it can be sexual care, it can be domestic responsibility care, it can be intellectual stimulation care, it can be so many different kinds of care. So it's what works for you. If it doesn't work for you to do a 50-50 financial relationship, especially from the beginning, then say it, move along. Abby's got a good question. So how soon do you ask all those personal questions? How much money do you make, etc.? Well, you never say, how much money do you make? You ask it in very coy ways. For instance, so with my boyfriend and I, we were on I think our 4th date, and he had paid every time. And we got to the 4th date, and I said, can we stop and have a conversation about money? We both liked each other at that point. We're on date number 4. We weren't sleeping together or anything, and he said, well, I pay. I'm the man. I said, well, that's interesting because you sound like just a strong Latin man who believes that that's the gender role. But can we explore a little bit? And I shared first. I said, I'd like to tell you how much money I made this year. If you feel comfortable, you can share. But if not, I just think I'd like to contribute in some way. Anyway, what ended up happening with us, now we've been together a couple of years, is I buy all the groceries and I love to cook. That's my hobby. So I feed, whenever we eat at home, obviously that's all on me. It's on me because I pay for all the food, and it's on me because I cook the dinner, right? So it's all on me. And when we go out, he pays. And so if he's not asking us to go out, then I know it's a lean month or something, a lean week, right? So, and we actually, the other thing we do a lot is pack picnics. We love to eat out. So we started that during COVID, and we always find unique places to eat. And I have really cool French picnic basket and all the special stuff. And so anyway, it's all about how you ask it. And sharing information is the way to get people to open up. Oh, you love to cook too. Favorite dish to make? I do a really kick-ass ossobuco. I love to do, so I subscribe to a weekly farmer's box that has all, organic food and whatever's ripe. And so I love to do I love dry cooking. So I love to do roasted vegetables with a roasted chicken or something. My kids love my chicken parmesan, of course. Kids all love Italian, right? Anything melted with cheese on it. And even though I'm keto and have been for a number of years, I've been really interested in the chemistry of bread making. So I've actually made some homemade bread recently, which is, I'm telling you, it's a drug. When you've been off carbs for years and you taste it again, now I know it's cocaine. I spend the whole day driving around going, when am I going to get home? I think that fresh bread is still there. And now I'm growing a sourdough starter, which I just sort of beat it down to feed it again. And it's on I think I'm on day 12 now. It takes about 14 days or 15 days. Anyway, do I have a favorite dish? Well, I can pretty much make anything, and it just depends what's in my fridge. Any more questions before I go over to my Patreon Zoom room? It's good to see everybody. Just a reminder, you can always find me on patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. You can also listen to my radio show anytime, anywhere. We're live on KFI AM 640 Los Angeles on Sundays from 4 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. But you can download the iHeart Radio app, and you can listen to the Dr. Wendy Walsh Show anytime. You can read my books. Most of them are on Patreon as well, and my podcast, Mating Matters. And I'm always here. I'm on TikTok and everywhere else that you're seeing me right now. Anyway, good to see you. I'm heading over to Patreon. Come join me. You can sign up. Patreon.com/Dr. Wendy Walsh. Love you all. See you next Wednesday. Bye.